Hey, Kentucky, Diabate is proving to be a versatile player and had his jersey ripped in the process. Diabate may never be the loudest name in Kentucky basketball headlines, but it's impossible to watch this Mark Pope team and not notice how much he has shaped the new face of the Wildcats. The arrival of the former Alabama player was met with quiet enthusiasm, almost as a complimentary reinforcement. But it only took a few games to make it clear Pope brought not only experience, he brought identity. When Kentucky found itself lacking physicality last season, it lacked exactly the kind of presence that Diabate offers, a body that commands respect, but also a mind that understands the rhythm of the SEC game. His time in Tuscaloosa prepared him for those difficult minutes, where talent needs to be supported by effort and game reading. And that's where he's excelled, in what doesn't show up in the statistics, but completely changes the course of a game. In his debut against Nicholls, the box score showed 7 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. Solid numbers, but not spectacular, until you look at the context. When Kentucky's offense stalled early on, it was Diabate who kept the team alive. He grabbed a rebound, drove the ball down the court, found Brandon Garrison open to open the scoring, and shortly after, was rewarded with an easy layup. 7 of Kentucky's first 8 points passed, directly or indirectly, through his hands. And when he finished the game with the team's highest point differential, plus 20, the message was clear. Diabate's influence doesn't depend on the volume of shots, but on real impact. This combination of strength and discipline has made him a vital piece in Pope's machine. The coach built his roster so that the intensity never drops, and Diabate embodies this concept. He fights for every contested ball, contests every rebound as if it were the game, and still finds time to deliver accurate passes. The episode in which he tore his shirt trying for a rebound while being held by an opponent became a symbol of the kind of commitment Kentucky needs to reestablish itself among the nation's powerhouses, and, in a way, a true reflection of the spirit Pope wants to instill. Interestingly, Diabate seems as comfortable doing the hard work as he is talking about it. I try to do what I can to help the team win. I try to be all over the court, to be a complete player, he summarized after the game. There's a simple honesty in that statement, a reflection of someone who understands their role and doesn't seek the spotlight. This attitude has inspired his teammates and given Pope something every coach looks for: reliability. With averages of 9.3 points and a shooting percentage above 60%, the forward has been more efficient than expected, without losing defensive control. Against Nicholls, he didn't even commit a foul. This consistency, which is already becoming his trademark, is a luxury for a team still in formation. Kentucky has talented young players, but it's Diabate who guarantees the balance between energy and maturity. He doesn't need to be the protagonist. He just needs to be the player who keeps everything in place, preventing the team from becoming unstable, showing that winning is also about knowing how to do the necessary work. And if he continues at this pace, his importance will cease to be silent, because in Lexington, fans are already realizing that what Diabate delivers goes far beyond the statistics. It's his presence that sustains Mark Pope's new Kentucky. The rivalry between Kentucky and Florida in college football has proven to be one of the most intriguing chapters on the SEC calendar in recent years. While for decades the balance seemed irrevocably tilted towards the Gators, especially during a dominant streak of 31 consecutive wins between 1987 and 2017, what we have seen since then is a silent but undeniable transformation in the dynamics of this rivalry. Under the leadership of Mark Stoops, Kentucky has not only found its voice, but has also established itself as a respectable and often difficult opponent for one of the conference's historical powerhouses. This Saturday night's game at Kroger Field, marking the 76th edition of this rivalry, carries the weight of an unequal past, but also the promise of a present full of uncertainties. Florida still boasts an overwhelming advantage in the overall record, with 54 wins against only 21 for the Wildcats. However, recent numbers tell a different story, a narrative that reflects the meticulous work of Stoops and his team to build something lasting in Lexington. Since 2018, the Cats have demonstrated a level of competitiveness rarely seen before, winning 3 out of 5 games against the Gators. This role reversal is not just statistical. It symbolizes a cultural shift within Kentucky's football program. Mark Stoops, whose name is already synonymous with renewal in Lexington, has systematically raised the bar for his team's performance when facing traditional rivals like Florida. It's no coincidence that the Wildcats have been considered underdogs in virtually every recent matchup against the Gators. However, this underdog status seems to act as additional fuel for the Kentucky team, which has responded with consistently solid performances. In 2018, 2021, and 2022, the Wildcats surprised everyone by winning as underdogs by 6 or more points, proving that the difference in historical prestige doesn't necessarily define the outcome on the field. Perhaps even more impressive is the Wildcats' record against the spread, ATS, in recent encounters with the Gators. Since 2016, Kentucky boasts a remarkable 12-7 ATS record as underdogs at home, a statistic that reflects the team's ability to exceed expectations even when the odds are against them. Interestingly, the last time Florida managed to cover the spread in Lexington was in 2015, during the Jim McElwain era, and with Will Greer leading the Gators offense. Since then, the Wildcats have accumulated a 4-0-2 ATS record in their last 6 games against the Gators as underdogs, a feat that highlights something different. In the past, Stoops brought stability to a program that historically flirted with irrelevance in the SEC and also created a competitive mentality that challenges traditional hierarchies. This is clear when we look at the last 2 years, where the spread between Kentucky and Florida was 1 field goal or less, indicating a growing perception of balance between the two teams. This Saturday, Florida enters as a slight favorite by only 3 points, a clear sign that the market and analysts are beginning to take the Wildcats very seriously. It's important to highlight that this scenario doesn't stem solely from Stoops' work, but also from the gradual evolution of his roster. Kentucky has invested in developing players who can compete physically and tactically with the best in the conference. Furthermore, the atmosphere at Kroger Field has been a significant differentiator. The passionate support of the home crowd has transformed Lexington into a hostile environment for visitors, especially in high-profile games like this one. Therefore, the Wildcats take the field not only motivated to continue their rise in the historic series, but also with the opportunity to reinforce their position as one of the SEC's emerging programs. On the other hand, Florida comes into this matchup with a worrying record as the away favorite. In their last 12 away games, the Gators have a 3-9 spread, a statistic that raises questions about their ability to handle pressure in adverse environments. While Florida remains a respectable force in the conference, their recent inconsistency contrasts with the growing solidity shown by Kentucky. For the Gators, this game represents both an opportunity to reclaim historical dominance and a significant challenge against an opponent that is clearly in its best form. College football in the southern United States is a testing ground, especially within the SEC, where each game feels more like a test of endurance than a simple match. Cutter Boley, Kentucky's freshman quarterback, learned this the hard way. After a turbulent start in his conference debut, the young point guard showed in Auburn that he's beginning to understand the weight and responsibility of wearing the Wildcats blue, and more importantly, how to respond under pressure. The matchup against Auburn was more than just a narrow away win. It was a reflection of the maturation of a player who, just a few weeks ago, saw the game slipping from his hands amidst turnovers and frustrations. In South Carolina, Boley was swallowed up by a cruel sequence of errors: sacks, fumbles, interceptions, and defensive touchdowns. The kind of night that can mark a freshman for the rest of the season. But in Auburn, the story was different. When everything indicated that the ghost of Columbia would return to haunt him, after an interception that allowed the Tigers to tie the game before halftime, the young man took a deep breath and stood tall. The answer came in the following drive, the first of the second half. He calmly led the offense, distributed precise passes, and finished the sequence with the only touchdown of the game. It wasn't a brilliant performance in terms of numbers, but it was a display of character, and that, for Mark Stoops, says much more. He completed 11 consecutive passes after the interception, the coach highlighted with visible satisfaction. This shows everything we've been talking to him about: growing with experience, maintaining composure, being resilient. It's great when, even without being at his peak, he finds a way to win. Boley, recognized as SEC Co-Rookie of the Week, earned his first conference win as a starter and, as a bonus, the confidence of the coach and the fans. It wasn't just the score that encouraged Stoops, but the way the young quarterback reacted to the hostile environment and the adversities of a physical and fast defense. He missed some passes, sure, Stoops admitted, but that's what happens playing away from home in the SEC. Against a strong defense, he showed grit, determination, and perseverance. He didn't falter. These words say a lot about Stoops' quiet work in Lexington. Over the years, he has transformed the Kentucky program into a team that knows how to compete, even away from the comfort of Kroger Field. And now, with Boley, he's betting not only on talent, but on mentality. The coach sees in the young man a leadership potential that goes beyond statistics. It's too early to project Cutter Boley's future, but this game against Auburn may be remembered as the turning point, the moment when the rookie stopped being just a promise and began to become a real player in the SEC. In a championship where the atmosphere is punishing and the margins are narrow, Kentucky's victory was a testament to the maturity of both the team and the quarterback. Boley made mistakes, learned from them, and won. In a league that tests emotions as much as physical fitness, that's worth more than any statistic. Kentucky leaves Auburn with a victory, but more than that, with the feeling that the future of the team's most important position is in good hands. Leave your opinion.